Welcome to the swamp, Stardew Valley, a game I've heard about for many years, but I never thought about playing it until now. I do have fond memories of being a little baby gator and snuggled up in my pond with my lily pad blanket, playing Harvest Moon on the GameCube. While the hyperpixelated top-down view is not really my go-to with video games, I decided to give it a shot and see what this world of farming and cave exploring would yield. This is my review of Stardew Valley. My name is Excalligator. I rate games based on many categories that would fit into most survival games, based on a 1 to 5 system. If a category does not apply, it will not affect the game's overall score. Now let us get started. Before I reviewed this game, I have never played Stardew Valley before. Since purchasing it, I have played about 60 hours between single player and multiplayer. I have also completed at least one full in-game year, and I'm also almost done with the second year. Stardew Valley is a chill farming simulator, which reminds me a lot of the Harvest Moon game back on the GameCube. It's pretty much all the same qualities, but it has a lot of improvements. Of course, expanded to more types of gameplay, and is way more sandbox. Generally, an overall better experience. This game can run on a potato and is easy for anyone in any system to get into. You can even play it on the Switch, but for this review, I played it on the PC. The character creation is pretty good for having limited graphics. You can choose your skin color, your hairstyle, your eye color, and with so many types of choices, it'll be hard to find another player that looks the exact same as you do. I was even able to recreate my original character, which I always try to do in character creation screens. Here you can also name your farm and write down one of your favorite character likes. I wrote Milk, because not only is it a farm, but it's an inside joke with my OC, and it fits. It also leads to a lot of funny experiences later on. I feel that there's a lot of choices for your character creation here, and I'm gonna rate this a 5 out of 5. The game starts off with a few different cutscenes, starting off with your grandfather sick in bed and having left you an envelope that you're not to open until you feel ready. Another cutscene takes place while you are working a 9 to 5 in a cubicle. But screw the story on how I go from my day job to a farmer. I want to know this guy's story. Why the hell does he keep licking his lips? That's just creepy, dude. Not to mention the guy near me who's just dead at his computer. Did no one thought to check on him? Anyway, your character is exhausted and tired of the city life. He opens the letter, or she opens the letter, to see that your grandfather has left you his farmland in Stardew Valley. You get on a bus and leave for your new home. The home still stands, but without anyone caring for the land in a while, it's all overgrown. So your first task is to clear the brush and make room for your crops and animals. Everyone in the village is welcoming of you and overall nice, except Shane. Fuck Shane. We'll talk more about the characters themselves later. You are not given a full tutorial. It is mostly common knowledge if you've played farming games or sandbox games. However, you will find a lot of areas around the game where you will be given tips either by other characters or from books you can read, even letters from various aspects of the game. With limited money, you have just enough to get a foothold, but you will resort to selling basic things you find for now until you get your crops started to grow. It is very much a slow burn, but once you pick up, you take off. I'm gonna rate the start of the game a 5 out of 5. While it is a bit of a slow burn without a tutorial, the game is not as punishing in a way that you need to do every aspect to get the best experience, so learning as you play is an option for the new player. Not to mention that the slower progression allows you time to learn before you step further and deeper into the game, and when you finally do progress your farm, you can visually see it and feel the impact. The map itself is not too large, but big enough to give you room between the various areas of the game. It is certainly larger than Harvest Moon, but that being said, every area of the game has a ton of unique and hidden things about them. From blocked off areas you can gain access through various forms of progression, to even your own backyard holding secrets that you might not find out until later. Even after a year of walking the town, I'm still finding new systems that I've not seen before, like being able to dig in the trash for fun items, to digging up spots with these little worms sticking out for special items. You also have endgame zones that are locked off until later as well. There are also seasons that affect the game world in tone, music, items you can find, and so on. Spring and summer is when everything is vibrant and ready to grow. Fall is when it starts to slow down, and winter everything is silenced and dead. Nothing will grow during the winter. Even though with winter slowing everything down, other options do become easier to do, like the little worms I mentioned earlier, which are much more abundant in the winter. So while you can't farm, you can dig up rare items easier, or you could just go and fish or go into the mines. For the new player experience, this is certain to give you a lot of replayability and other things to do besides just farming. So I'm gonna rate this a 4.5 out of 5. I dropped it just a bit because I wish the world was a little bit bigger. I unlocked a fast travel system that lets me get around quick, which negates the reason for a horse, though I do use the horse occasionally. Optionally, I could just not use the fast travel system, but I would like to have larger areas where a horse would be mandatory rather than just the southern wooded area in the map. So this game is not really a survival game. I'm not going to rate it too harshly. However, there are some things that I can talk about in this section that could be considered survival. First things first, the day and night cycle. Unlike Harvest Moon, you can't pull all-nighters, so you do have a deadline per day, which is 2 a.m. You have to return and go to sleep by 2 a.m. or you will pass out and lose money because of your hospital bills from passing out. You have an energy bar, which controls how many actions you can perform per day. Though you can easily remedy this with consumable items such as food. Food is the best and easiest way, and the higher the grade of the food, the more you can recover. So you do have a reason to keep food for yourself and to cook, or you can add to the local economy by buying from your local marts. The last thing are the combat areas. Yes, while this is a farming simulator, it has combat, but only in a select few areas. You can optionally make your farm a combat area as well from the character creation screen. If not, there are a few pockets around the map with enemies, but the primary spot is the mines. We'll talk more about the mines in the PvE section, but for this section, you just need to know that you have an HP bar, and when you lose health, you lose more than just gold. You will lose items as well. It is limited to just 3 items that are dropped per your death, but you can only choose 1 to recover. I unfortunately lost all of the wood I had gathered because of this system. I brought them all with me to upgrade a building that I had, and I had 700 wood left in my bag. I didn't think anything of it. I completely forgot it was in my bag. So I went to the mines next door for a bit of progression, and I died. I didn't notice that I dropped all of my wood, so when I recovered my weapon, I lost all of the wood that I had gathered. And because it was winter, I went an entire season with limited wood stores, which sucked. So yeah, don't make my mistake and leave all of your valuables at home when going into a combat area. Since this is not a survival game truly, I'm just gonna rate it on what is available. So from what is available, I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5. With these systems, I did have a lot of ass-clenching moments where you feel the race against time or the need to watch your energy bar and you don't have food with you while you're in the mines. I've even died a few times in the mines and lost a lot more than just my wood. So yeah, for what it is, it's pretty good. Of course, this is the main attraction of this game. Let's first start off with the building. Your home cannot be moved from its location from what I can tell, but you can upgrade it later on as you progress. You can also decorate it however you want with ease, just so long as you have the requirements and the recipes. Just by clicking and dragging items, you can decorate it with ease just by clicking items and moving them around. While there is a lot of decor you could buy from various seasons and shops and even recipes, you can also be given them as rewards for special things as well that you do in the game. Besides your home, you can build coops, barns, sheds, and other various items that you can choose. Besides your home, you can build chicken coops, barns, sheds, and other various items for your farm that you can place wherever you want on your plot, and they can be moved at any time. There is no building decay on most of your items, however, fences can decay over time, though the process is slow slower with higher grade materials used, and there is a possible chance to lose items such as paved roads to grown weeds and thunder strikes, though the item will remain so you can replace it easily. The crafting is fairly standard. You can either find or naturally learn recipes through progression or purchase. The majority of things are handcrafted, though there is an optional standard workbench that allows you the added bonus of drawing from adjacent storage chests, which makes crafting a whole lot easier. There are some specialized crafting benches such as the cooking range. When you upgrade your home at least once, you can cook various foods from here, and just like the workbench, it will draw from nearby fridges that you have. I have 2 fridges nearby that it pulls from so I can make my pancakes in the morning. You also have smaller working units that passively create things over time with or without needed items to start it, like beehives and tree tappers, which give you items free of charge every few days. And then you have furnaces and preservative barrels, not to mention kegs as well, that you need to add an ingredient or a special item in order for them to start making the results. Farming is what you would expect on the surface. You need to till the ground, plant the seeds, and you only have to water it once per day. Besides the watering once per day part, you don't really need to tend to the garden at all. So once you get a sprinkler system going, it pretty much requires no care from you. I eventually found a way to optimize my farm with sprinklers to be completely hands-off, which saves me a lot of time and energy in the morning while doing my chores. You do have fertilizers, which are optional, but they do give you added bonuses to your crops, and rainy days help those without sprinklers, so it allows free watering to your farm. Most crops take anywhere from 4 to 10 days to grow, which some of which will continue to produce every few days after growth, while others harvest all at once. Each item is season specific, though some can range between 2 seasons. Unlike Harvest Moon, you are restricted to the seeds you can buy per season, which is fine because that means you don't have to guess at which ones you are going to need per season. You of course can hold on to the seeds if you miss the season, and planting them at a season won't really do much for you. You also have a chance that crows will eat your crops, but by planting a scarecrow, this completely prevents it from happening. Your whole farm is the only area in the game with natural growth of the flora and weeds. The grass can grow if not trimmed up. The trees can drop their seeds and grow into a whole forest if it's not controlled. So yes, you will have to regularly maintenance your farm, and every first day of spring in order to keep your farm nice and clean, or risk the weeds tearing up your farm and the trees overgrowing everything. You can raise animals as well, most of which are unlocked with the purchase of larger barns and coops. The animals will need to be fed and petted regularly to keep them happy. While feeding them is not mandatory, it will not kill them either, but it will stop productivity, which means you will get less income. So it's better to keep them happy. But if you are stuck in the wintertime with little to no food on your first year, it won't hinder you much besides a lack of income. You do have to be wary, as you can lose your animals if you leave them locked out of the barns overnight. Every night that passes, you will have a random chance at an event happening, from a little fairy flying by to bless your crops, to a witch that flies over. I've even had a freaking meteor hit my farm. Luckily it hit a spot where I didn't have anything, but it's there now until I upgrade my pickaxe again. This whole section is going to be given a 5 out of 5 due to the basic yet also advanced systems at play here. Very few damaging consequences, but can be handled easily with proper care. Just like the survival section, this is not a primarily PvE game. However, you do have combat, so I'm just gonna rate what is available to the player. As mentioned before, you have small pockets of the map which are combat areas. The primary spot is the mines. The mines is also your primary spot for gathering minerals, copper, iron, gold, and other rare gems that can be sold or donated. To progress the mines, you will have to go further down the various floors. Each floor will always be the same layout, but the various placed items and enemies will always be randomly generated each time you delve. To progress, you will have a random chance at finding a ladder every time you gather or kill something. The deeper you go into the mines, the layout will change, the enemies will change, and the resources, not to mention the difficulty as well. To keep up with the difficulty, you will need gear. Now, clothing in terms of your hat, your shirt, and your pants are all cosmetic. Your stats will come from rings, which you can have 2 of, and your weapon, which will determine your attack power. You also have boots that act as your defensive armor. Sometimes while in the mines, you will come across infested floors where you will need to defeat all of your enemies in order to progress. Besides that, there are random times where fog will roll in and you are rushed by flying creatures, generally bats or bugs. There are no boss battles in the mines that I could see from, but you do have an occasional powerful enemy that will have the chance to drop good loot. I have found all of my best items off of rare enemies such as this. Every 5 levels that you delve, you unlock an elevator door so you can always return back to the spot where you left off. So with that 2 AM timer, it allows you to come back after doing 5 levels, which makes progression pretty easy per day. And every 10 levels that you delve, you are rewarded with a chest that has a randomly generated item of that level bracket. I've been to the last level and I had a lot of fun progressing the mines as a dungeon experience and farming materials within. You can also grind monsters for various rewards with the combat guild nearby. From what I've read, there is also another dungeon and another combat area that I've yet to been to, at least writing this review. So this is not the end of my adventure. With all that said, there is one issue I have with this section. While other items are always used where your mouse faces, the sword does not. It swings where your player faces. So while you are trying to aim with your mouse, you will not face where you want to. You have to fully move your character to face the direction you want, and with limited movement and tight spaces, the mines can be a death sentence. I've had times where enemies who don't have much of a knockback will walk all over me and I can't swing at them because I'm trapped in a corner, so I will take massive damage until I swing wildly enough to kill them. I'm gonna rate this section a 4 out of 5. I dropped it a point because while you do have decent enemies and good rewards and such, I did have an issue with the combat itself and the direction strikes sometimes not following where you aim. While there is no overall story, there are loads of micro stories that you can discover through the various people in the valley, from the shopkeepers to normal villagers, and even the non-Walmart manager, even shady people and magical people hidden throughout the world whom you can befriend. As you befriend the various individuals, you can not only gain their trust and be let more into their life, but also be more involved in smaller stories around each person. Several of the members of the valley are also romanceable. I of course had to go for the bromance and stalked Sam, giving him all of my attention and gifts until he finally let me dance with him at the pedal dance, even if the game decided I was the little spoon. Either way, romance between several characters are available, and gender does not matter when you want to woo someone. Though I have noticed that if a character is single, it is possible for them to start flirting with another character. Staying with the topic of characters of the valley, every single person has their own schedule, which makes this game feel more alive. They have tasks and lives outside of just being there for the player. They go shopping, they go to work, they go to the doctor for checkups, they have hobbies, they have likes and dislikes. They also have friends among themselves and they meet up every so often, and at the end of the workday, you can see them relaxing in the bar and having a drink. Even stores will have store hours and days that they might take off, which sometimes can be annoying, though all of this can vary as well between the seasons and if the weather is bad or not. That is something I like about this game. Sometimes the characters will require help with a project that they are working on. These are quests that you can do. There are 3 types of quests, one which you'll get in the mailbox from various characters, These are non-timed and you can do at your leisure. When you have the post board outside of the general store, which is more of a short timer to complete, within a day or two. And there's a second post board where you have much longer to complete the quest. However, the items required will be much higher in quantity, such as one where I needed to harvest 100 of a certain crop, or another where I had to mine 30 copper ores. Another type of quest you can do is the community center. That is, of course, if you choose to repair it. You can also optionally sell the center to the not Walmart, to the dislike of everyone in the valley. If you choose to repair the center, you will be given tasks to gather items for several bundles per room. Each bundle completed will yield you a reward, and every room that you complete will unlock new content. So yeah, the whole section I'm going to be giving a 5 out of 5. Even though it doesn't have one large overall storyline, there are so many smaller ones with the various quests and villagers with their lives to live. It just feels good. So this is hard to rate. On one hand, there is really no end to the game, unlike Harvest Moon, which does. You can keep playing this game on the same file as much as you like, though I will say when it comes to progression, there is an eventual end. But there is so much in this game, it is hard to do it on a first playthrough to complete it all within the first few years. An experienced player would still require a minimum of a year or two to complete, mostly because a lot of items are season locked, but even so, if you are watching this review and you've never played this game before, you will have tons of things to do that will expand beyond what is the upfront and visible content available. You will get in-game hints and tips to uncover all the various places and systems, but they still require work and time to accomplish. This is a long-term game for those who like that type of gameplay. So I'm going to be rating this a 5 out of 5. There are mods for Stardew, however you do need to get them from a third-party site like Nexus Mod. There are no mods on Steam you can acquire. The various mods that are available, however, include those which not only change up the art style of the character portraits to new and expanded locations in the valley, having every character become romanceable, adding quality of life systems, tractors, and other forms of added content and gameplay. So I'm going to rate the mod section a 4 out of 5. The mods that are available are great and add a lot to the game. I only dropped at a point because they are all on third-party websites, which makes access to them not as available to others who may want to experience them. The game itself is finished and has been for a while. The few times in the past few years, the game has gotten a couple of fixes and such, but it has not received an update in almost a year. Though given this game is completed and in a very good state, I'm not going to reprimand the lack of patches and instead will choose not to rate this section. But unless a surprise content patch comes out of the blue in the future, what you see is what you get with this game. I will say right now that there is almost no bugs or lag at all. I never had frame drops or loading issues. The only bug or issue that I have had my entire playthrough is that sometimes actions don't happen in the direction that you are facing or where your mouse is located, and instead will choose a random location. Or instead, if you are aimed and facing a certain spot, your character will choose the spot next to it, which is frequent while watering plants. Nothing that will ruin your experiences, but it can be a bit annoying at times, especially when this type of issue happens while fighting in the mines. But being that that is minor, the rating is only going to be a 4.5 out of 5. So here's the thing, I don't ever believe in a perfect game, which is why you will almost never see a 5 out of 5 rating. This is by no means a completely perfect game, as there are some issues here and there, or just passable content within the various categories that I went through. Though with all things considering, when you round up all of the scores that I have given this game, it should be a 4.8 out of 5, which is the highest score I have ever given any game so far. It is already an amazing feat. Though, I will make an exception in this case, as this game is absolutely fun with many types of content, expansion, growth, attention to detail, love, and care. Therefore, this game is going to be my very first 5 out of 5 game, and I highly recommend this game to anyone who had been on the fence about buying this game or not. The best part is that Steam sales allow you to buy this game for just $4, and they happen quite often, so you have nothing to lose by trying it out either. I hope you enjoyed this review. I certainly did, and had a lot of fun playing Stardew Valley, and will continue to play it. Be sure to give a like for the algorithm gods, and subscribe to see more reviews on sandbox, open world, and survival games, and I will see you next time. And that is the end of this video. If you liked my review, please subscribe to this channel, as I will be making more in-depth reviews of open world, sandbox, survival RPG games, including those that no one ever talks about from the deepest, darkest depths of Steam. Some games that even look like the muck at the bottom of my pond. If you have any suggestions for what game to do next, please comment below and like this video. Florida Gator Man out.